Hey YouTube, this is LeoBlaze20 coming at you with a long-awaited update to one of my favorite decks for the Digimon card game, my ShineGreymon deck. Finally, set BT25 Dual Revolution came out, so I was finally able to get the final cards I needed, which just arrived in the mail yesterday, to finally upgrade the deck to what I wanted, and yeah, finally the profile's ready, so I'm going to go ahead and get with it. And let's get this show started. So again, Digi-Eggs, pretty self-explanatory. We got 4 copies of the BT21 Coralmon. Alrighty, and then now we're going into level 3s. Level 3s didn't really change at all. We're still on 4 copies of the BT12 Agumon, your primary searcher. We're on 3 copies of the BT13 Agumon. Still on 3 copies of the EX4 Agumon. And 2 copies of the BT21 Agumon. Now, there is the new starter deck Agumon, but that one is only check top 3 to get a Data Squad, and there's only a handful of cards in here that are Data Squad specific. Both the new ShineGreymons and the Burst Mode. I've been thinking about that. I might contemplate running a couple copies of that, but that's more if you're going for like a Data Squad-esque build for the deck. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into level 4s. Level 4s really didn't change at all either. We got 4 copies of the BT12 ShineGreymon. We're on still 1 copy of BT13 ShineGrey. 3 copies of BT21 ShineGrey. And 2 copies of EX4 ShineGreymon. Alright, going on to level 5s. We're still on, and your ratios can vary between these. Still on 4 copies of BT13 ShineGreymon. And 3 copies of BT21 ShineGreymon. Now, the new starter deck ShineGreymon is also pretty solid, but again, that's more Data Squad specific. But it does have a nice minus 5k to your opponent's Digimon debuff, which is, something to experiment with. But anyway, again, that's more of a Data Squad specific build. But anyway, going into level 6s now. Now, this did change quite a bit. And I was contemplating this because, again, but the more and more videos I've seen come out, I'm starting to agree with it more. For starters, we are on 4 copies of the 81 ShineGreymon. It's got Alliance and Blocker. And then when Digivolving and when attacking, once per turn, play a Marcus Daemon from your hand or trash without paying the cost. And then give one of your opponent's Digimon minus 3,000 for each of your Digimon and Tamers until the turn ends. And then all turns once per turn, when any of your Marcuses are played, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with as much DP as this Digimon. So, pretty nice effect. It's kind of more, Marcus and Agumon attacking together rather than Marcus and ShineGreymon attacking together, rather than Marcus doing all the heavy lifting. So definitely an awesome card, and never thought I would have seen the day that something would surpass the BT12. And then I am on 2 copies of the starter deck, dual card, ShineGreymon GeoGreysword. Raid, Piercing, and Security Attack +1. When Digivolving, when attacking, once per turn, play a Tamer card with cost of 5 or less from your hand or trash. Without paying the cost, then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 9,000 for the turn, which is pretty solid. And then the GeoGreysword option card side here. Data Squad trait to ignore Queller requirements if you wish. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 for the turn, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 7,000 DP or less. So, pretty good backup card to go into, and again, with it being a dual card option, you're going to start seeing more option effects, and then ace cards are going to become lesser known, or not lesser known, less used, rather. So, definitely interesting, combo, and this deck, like I said, kind of focuses more on getting like a bunch of Marcuses out and swinging. But anyway, going into level 7s, still on 1, ShineGreymon Ruin Mode. Floodgate effect is nice. And now we're on 2 of the new Burst Mode dual card. This thing's definitely nutty. Raid, Piercing, Security Attack, +1, Blocker, and Barrier. When digivolving, when attacking, once per turn, activate one main effect on this card's option side. And then your turn, all of your Marcus Daemons are treated as Digimon, as 12,000 power Digimon, and gain Rush. And then Final Shining Burst, option side, Data Squad requirement. If you want to ignore color requirements, main effect. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 15,000 power for the turn, then play one Tamer card from your hand without paying the cost. So this is pretty nutty. This is definitely something to go into if you just need that final push to knock your opponent out. It's an awesome, awesome card. Definitely a nice power up for the deck. Looking forward to taking this into a tournament and seeing how well it does, given the state of everything else and all that. But definitely as I said, a very welcome addition to the deck. Looking forward what it could do. And plus the fact is, too, if you want to go into more of a Data Squad focused build, that's kind of the nice thing about, the new starter deck. Being able to give you that option. And then we're getting more support in set 26, too, with more Data Squad stuff. So it'll help increase the power of that deck, or that version of the deck. So definitely excited for that. And then finally, next we're going into the Tamers. This did change up a bit. Got 3 copies of the new Marcus and Agumon Tamer from 8001. Your turn when this Tamer suspends, draw a card. Then one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a card with Greymon in its name for the cost reduced by 3. End of your turn once per turn. If you have a yellow Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name, one of your Marcus Daemon is treated as a 6,000 power Digimon and gains Rush. Can't Digivolve, and then one of your Digimon may attack. So, definitely awesome. Kind of a nice upgraded form of the BT-12. Being able to use him to punch face and draw a card and Digivolve up. So, definitely a nice upgraded form. Yeah, he is pricey, but I think 3 copies is more than enough for him. Some people are running 4. More power to you, but I definitely recommend no less than 3. And then speaking of BT-12, I'm still on 3 copies of him because, punching face with him is good. You still want to get him out first or get the new Marcus out. But now definitely with the both new ShineGreymons, easier to do so than before. And then I'm still on 2 copies of BT-13, which is the Memory Tamer. The BT-21 is still a viable option as well, too. I might toy around with that some more, depending on how the meta shifts. But, again, your mileage is going to vary. And then now going into option cards, I'm still on 3 copies of the Vermilion Memory Boost. Because, being red and yellow. And then I decided, especially with other decks, being able to go wide, especially with token decks being the thing, I decided to tech back in a copy of Crimson Blaze. That way I can have that floodgate effect especially with Time Stranger decks, having on-play effects, and whatnot. That'll help to slow them down quite a bit. And then, dealing with token decks like Diaboromon and Puppets, definitely a nice choice. Yeah, but anyway, the nice thing with this deck is you can kind of tailor it to a little bit more. You could still run the ShineGreymon X Antibody if you want. You can go back to running the BT-12 ShineGreymon if you're not that big of a fan of the dual card. But the more and more I read it and just kind of thought about it and looked at other profiles, I was like, you know what, this is a pretty cool, actually a more interesting take. So, and especially having the more option cards now to be able to kind of deal with, more difficult situations, especially with more and more Digimon coming out with, hey, can't be affected by my opponent's Digimon. It's kind of nice to have a little bit more options to deal with, even though aces, I think, are still really cool, and I'm hoping, Bandai can figure out how to balance them where, we can still have aces be effective as a thing, because I think they're pretty neat, but again, your mileage is going to vary. So, yeah, anyway, I still have one more deck profile that I'm waiting on cards to upgrade from one of my buddies, my D-Brigade deck, Digipolice, because that did get support here in BT-25 as well, and hopefully we'll maybe get some more support in BT-26, but anyway, so stay tuned for that, as I'll have that uploaded as soon as possible. But anyway, guys, Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, this is Leo Blaze 20 signing out.